Welcome to the Alcohol Reset, the podcast that helps you reset your habits, health, and relationship with alcohol without judgment or extremes. If you're looking to cut back, take a break, or just understand how drinking can affect your body and mind, you're in the right place. Each episode brings you science-backed insights on neuroscience, nutrition, and habit change to help you feel better, sleep deeper, and take control on your terms. I'm Mike Hardenbrook, best-selling author, neuroscience enthusiast, and habit change expert. I've helped thousands through my book and podcast to rethink their drinking, and now I'm here to help you do the same. Let's get started. You know the guy. We all know the guy. You're at a bar, maybe a wedding, one of those awful networking events, where the air conditioning is just blasting and you've got that sticky name tag on. And there he is. He's loud. He's telling this huge story. Arms are flying everywhere. The whole room is laughing. He is just completely fearless. The life of the party. And you look at him and you think, that is confident. But let's be real. He's also 4 drinks in. Now, picture someone else. Same room. This person walks in. And they're not making a big scene. They're just there. They're holding club soda made with a lime. They walk up to a group. They say hello. And then, and this is the key part, they actually listen. They seem comfortable, just comfortable in their own skin. No need to fill every single silence with noise. They didn't need a shot of something in the parking lot just to get the nerve to walk in the door. And that right there, that's what I want to get into today. We kind of grow up thinking confidence is the first guy. The loud one. The guy who needs a little chemical help to put on the show. But what if that's not confidence at all? What if it's just, I don't know, anxiety? We're in a costume. Welcome back. I'm Mike Hardenbrook, and today we are looking at what's real and what's not. We're going to dismantle this idea that confidence comes in a glass, and we're going to try to figure out how to access that version of yourself that doesn't need to perform. Now, look, this isn't about being the fun police. That's not my thing. But I do think it's important to question why we believe we need alcohol to be interesting. Why do we think we need to numb ourselves to feel like ourselves? So yeah, that's the mission for today. What does confidence actually look like without a drink? And let me tell you, it looks very, very different than what we're used to seeing. So let's start with what I call the shortcut trap. Just think about your own life for a minute. When did you first learn that alcohol was a social lubricant? Was it college? That first super awkward date where your heart's pounding, you're thinking, if I just get a beer, I'll calm down. We have basically conditioned ourselves to connect confidence with alcohol. It's almost Pavlovian. The stress goes up. We take a drink. The stress seems to go down. And here's the really dangerous part. It works. At first, if you look at the actual science, it's pretty simple. Alcohol lowers your inhibitions. It kind of tells the front part of your brain, the CEO part, to just take 5. It quiets down that little inner critic that's always nagging you, oh, everyone's looking at you, or that was a dumb thing to say. It just turns the volume down on your self-awareness. So you care less, you feel looser, you speak up more. But, and this is a massive but, you have to be really clear about something here. That feeling, that looseness, that is not confidence. It's the absence of anxiety. And that's a world of difference. See, there's a huge difference between gaining a skill and just numbing a feeling. When you drink to feel confident, you're not actually becoming more secure. You're anesthetizing the part of you that feels insecure. It's a temporary patch. You're not upgrading your system. You're just turning off the error notifications for a few hours. It's a shortcut. And like most shortcuts, it doesn't lead you where you want to go. Which brings me to the biological backfire. This is the part they don't exactly put on the beer commercials. And honestly, it's the science that really changed how I see all this. We all know about the hangover, right? It's a headache, the nausea, all of it. But I want to talk about the psychological cost. The truth is, alcohol actually chips away at your baseline confidence over time. Here's the cycle. See if this sounds familiar at all. You go out, you have a few drinks, you feel confident, then you go home, you crash. But here's the thing. Alcohol wrecks your sleep quality. It messes up your REM cycles. So even if you're out for 8 hours, your brain isn't really recovering. And REM sleep is where you process emotions. It's like your brain's janitorial staff. When you block that, you wake up with all of yesterday's junk still rattling around. Then there's the brain chemistry. Alcohol mimics a chemical called GABA, which makes you feel relaxed. So your brain, trying to be efficient, stops making its own. At the same time, your brain senses this depressant, so it starts overproducing a stimulant, glutamate, to try and balance things out. So what happens when the alcohol wears off? Well, the artificial relaxation is gone. Your natural relaxation is gone. And now you have this massive surplus of stimulant rushing through your system. You wake up the next morning not just tired, but anxious. Really anxious. We call it anxiety, right? You feel less grounded. That inner critic you shut up last night, he's back and he brought a megaphone. You replay everything. Did I say too much? Was I annoying? Your baseline confidence has now dropped. You're starting the day in a deficit. And here's the really insidious part of the loop. Because you feel anxious, because you feel less confident, What do you think you need the next time you go out? You need a drink to take the edge off. We become dependent on the very thing that's making the problem worse. It's not empowerment, it's reliance. It's a dependency loop that sells you a cure for the disease it created. So, okay, let's pivot. If that liquid confidence is a lie, what's the truth? What does a solid, real confidence actually look like? Let's do a little side-by-side comparison here. First, you've got alcohol-based confidence. Let's call it reactive confidence. It's reactive because it depends on outside stuff. It depends on timing, on quantity. And it fades fast, so you're always chasing it. It's also really performative. It's about being on. Louder laughing, bigger gestures. It's an expulsion of energies. Exhausting. Now, let's look at real confidence. Let's call this regulated confidence. This isn't about being the loudest person. It's about being the most present person. Real confidence is steady, doesn't spike and crash. And it's all about pacing. You ever notice how the most powerful person in a room often speaks the slowest? They aren't rushing. They're not afraid of being interrupted. They believe what they have to say is worth waiting for. That is confidence. It's about listening. Real confidence lets you actually hear the other person. Without planning your next witty remark, you're just there. And my favorite one, the power of silence. Alcohol hates silence. A lull in the conversation feels like a failure, so you rush to fill it with anything. But real confidence, it trusts the silence. It knows a pause is just a pause. It's sitting there, making eye contact with someone, and being completely okay with the fact that nobody's talking for 5 seconds. That's a power move. And you just can't do that when your brain is buzzing. Now, I know what you're probably thinking. Mike, that's great in theory, but have you tried going to a party sober? It's awkward. You're 100% right. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. We have to talk about that transition phase. We have to embrace the awkward. When you first show up without a drink, it is going to feel weird. It just is. You walk in and you feel exposed, like you forgot to put on your armor. You're suddenly aware of everything. Your hands, your posture, your voice. But if you can stick it out, if you can just ride that initial wave of discomfort for, say, 20 minutes, something amazing happens. There's a shift. You realize you don't actually need to impress anyone. The pressure to perform just melts away. And confidence stops being about charisma and it starts being about comfort. Comfort in your own body, comfort in your own pace. You realize it's not something you have to activate. It's something you just embody. It's a state of being, not a state of doing. Which brings us to the science of it all. We need to completely reframe how we see confidence. We tend to think of it as a personality trait, right? Oh, she's just a confident person. No, that's not it. Confidence is a nervous system state. Let me say that again because it's the key to this whole thing. Confidence is a nervous system state. When your nervous system is regulated, when you're not in fight or flight, you feel calm, clear, present, secure. That is what confidence is. It's a feeling of safety in your own body. Alcohol gives you a cheap simulation of that feeling by depressing your system. But as we said, it creates a rebound of anxiety. It just borrows your happiness from tomorrow. Real confidence, the solid kind, comes from building a foundation. It comes from stable energy, rested sleep, a nourished brain. This is where we have to talk about supporting yourself, not pushing yourself. Alcohol depletes the very nutrients your brain needs for energy and focus. Your B vitamins, your electrolytes. So if you are experimenting with this, you need to think about replenishment. There are tools out there, something like a daily restore comes to mind, that are made just for this context. They exist to help put back what stress and alcohol drain. It's not about getting a buzz, it's about getting back to baseline. Because when your physiology is stable, your psychology has a much, much better chance of following suit. So where does this leave us? The bottom line is this. Confidence isn't about being fearless. That's a myth. It's about being comfortable with who you are. It's about walking into a room and knowing you are enough just as you are. No modifier needed. Alcohol helps you forget your doubts for a little while. Real confidence is trusting yourself enough not to run from them. It's waking up the next morning, remembering the conversations you had, knowing that the person laughing and talking last night was actually you, not some buzzed caricature of you. And I want to leave you with one final thought to think about. This is what really clicks for me. We hang on to the drink because we think we're going to lose the fun version of ourselves. But I promise you this, once you experience real confidence, that grounded, calm, undeniable self-assurance, you won't miss the drink, you won't miss the hangover, you won't miss the anxiety. What you will miss is the version of yourself who thought you needed it. You'll look back at that person with compassion, sure, but you won't want to be them anymore. Because the version of you on the other side of all that awkwardness, that's the real deal. And that version doesn't need a buzz to be brilliant. That's all for today. I hope this gives you something to think about. Just try it. Embrace the awkward, find the silence, and just see what happens when you show up as you. I'm Mike Hardenbrook. Thanks for listening. That's a wrap for today's episode. If you got something out of this, do me a quick favor, leave a rating and review on whatever podcast platform you're listening on. It helps keep the show going and would mean the world to me. Got ideas, comments, or questions? Shoot me an email at mike@trycloud9.com. I'd love to hear from you. And if you're looking for extra support, check out Cloud9, makers of Daily Restore, a once-a-day supplement to support your body from alcohol's effects, and Rise and Unwind AM/PM, a 24-hour combo to curb cravings, balance mood, and improve sleep when taking a break. Go to trycloud9.com and use the code PODCAST to save 15% on your next order. Thanks for listening, and I'll catch you next time.